From translation, TLB the Living Bible this 160 day of the year. Today we are reading passages, Job 29-31, Job chapter 29, verses 1 to 25. These are the words of Job. How I wish I were back in the old days, when God watched over me, when his lamp shone upon my head, and by his light I walked through darkness. Oh, how I wish I were back in the days when I was in my prime, when the Almighty was still with me and my children were all around me, when my path was washed with cream, and the rocks poured out streams of oil. When I went to the city gate and took my place at the council table, the young men stepped aside, and the old men rose to their feet. The leaders would hush their voices and remain silent as I spoke. The chief men would wait until I had finished speaking, and then lay their hands on their mouths in respect. When I spoke, they listened. When I nodded, they would be quiet. I chose the right course and refused to do wrong. My life was a source of blessing to everyone, for I rescued the poor who cried to me, and the fatherless who had no one to help them. I helped those in trouble, and the fatherless and widows were glad because of me. I wore justice as my clothing, and righteousness was my robe and turban. I was eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. I was a father to the poor, and I investigated the cause of those I did not know. I broke the jaws of the wicked and snatched the prey from their teeth. I thought I would die in my nest and grow old as the palm tree. I said, my life is over like a tree that loses its leaves, and I will never see good again. I was respected wherever I went, and younger men stepped aside when I approached. They waited as I spoke, and then spoke no more until I had finished. They would not interrupt me even when I made mistakes. If I smiled, they would eagerly await my next words. I chose the way for them and sat as their chief, and dwelt among them as a king among his troops. Job chapter 30, verses 1 to 31. But now the lowest of men mock me, and those I despised now make me their servant. They won't even let me rest. They drive me out of my home. They force me to spend my days among the ash heaps, and I am a companion to those who are rejected. I am a brother of jackals and a companion of ostriches in the desert. They mock me because I am helpless. They make sport of me. They spit in my face and treat me as if I were dirt. My family has turned against me, and my friends have forgotten me. My wife and children consider me a stranger. My servants won't even acknowledge my presence. I have no peace. I am tormented day and night, and my sleep is gone. My bones suffer in constant pain. My body is covered with sores. My enemies mock me and spit on me, but I am helpless to fight back. They gather together against me, and they plot to take my life. They mock me when I am in trouble, and they jeer at me when I am afraid. They attack me from all sides, and I have no one to help me. They tear my clothes and throw dirt in my face. I am a laughingstock to my friends. They mock me when I am in trouble. My eyes pour out tears to God, that he might have mercy on me and not turn his servant away. I am a brother to jackals and a companion to ostriches. My skin turns black and falls off. My bones burn with fever. My harp is turned to mourning, and my flute to the sound of those who weep. I call to you, O God, but you do not answer. I stand up, but you merely look at me. You have become cruel to me. With your strong hand you attack me and pursue me. You have taken away my peace. You have filled me with terror. I cry out to you for help, but you do not answer. You have become my enemy. I have become a byword among the people, and I am mocked by everyone. My eyes have grown dim with sorrow, and I am worn out with waiting for help. My friends have deserted me, and my family has forgotten me. I am a prisoner in my own home, and I cannot escape. When I call for help, no one comes. When I cry out for mercy, no one listens. I am scorned by all my enemies, and they mock me when I am down. I am a laughingstock to my neighbors, and those who are near me detest me. Job chapter 31, verses 1 to 127. I made a covenant with my eyes not to look with lust upon a young woman. For what is the fate of man from God above? And what is his destiny from the Almighty? Does he not see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked in falsehood, or if my foot has hastened to deceit, let me be weighed in a just balance, and let God weigh me, and know that I am innocent. If my steps have turned from his path, or if my heart has followed my eyes, or if I have stained my hands with some sin, then let me reap what I have sown, and let my harvest be consumed by the anger of God. If my heart has been enticed by a woman, or if I have lurked at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind grain for another, and let other men sleep with her. For that would be a heinous crime, a sin to be punished by judges. For it is a fire that consumes to destruction, a fire that burns to hell. If I have despised the cause of my manservant or my maidservant when they contended with me, what then shall I do when God rises up? When he examines me, what shall I answer him? Did not he who made me in the womb make him? Did not the same one fashion us in the womb? If I have refused to do justice to the poor, or have ignored the cause of the fatherless, then let my arm fall from my shoulder, and let my arm be broken from its socket. If I have seen anyone perish for lack of clothing, or the needy without cover, and have not clothed him or helped him with my cloak, then let me be stripped of my clothing, and let me go naked and cold. If I have raised my hand against the fatherless or have frightened the widow in court, then let my shoulder blade fall out, and let my arm be broken from its socket. If I have eaten my morsel alone, or have refused to share with the fatherless, or if I have looked with envy at the wealth of others, then let me eat the bread of tears and drink the tears of my life. If I have put my trust in gold, or have called fine gold my confidence, or if I have rejoiced because my wealth was great, or if I have worshipped the sun or the moon or the stars of heaven, which I have never worshipped, then let me be utterly destroyed. If I have rejoiced at my enemy's misfortune, or have exulted when the evil befell him, then let my enemies rejoice over me, and exult when evil comes upon me. If I have not treated my servants fairly or have not given them what was due, then let me be punished as I have punished them. If I have hidden my sin in my heart and have not confessed it, then let God search me and know my heart. Let him test me and know my thoughts. And if I have walked in falsehood or if my foot has hastened to deceit, then let me be weighed in a just balance and let God weigh me, and know that I am innocent. If I have rejoiced at the downfall of my enemy or have been glad when he stumbled, then let me fall with him, and let us go down together into the pit. If I have trusted in my strength or have boasted of my own power, then let me be stripped of all I have, and let me be reduced to nothing. If I have been guilty of pride or have exalted myself, then let me be humbled and brought low. If I have denied justice to others or have kept back what was due to the poor, then let me be punished as I have punished them. If I have withheld the water from the thirsty or have refused bread to the hungry, then let me be thirsty and hungry with them. If I have not helped the traveler or have turned away from the orphan and widow, then let me be like a stranger in a strange land. If I have coveted my neighbor's house or have longed for his field, then let me be driven from my own land, and let me inherit a field that is not mine. If I have not been generous with what I have or have not shared my blessings with others, then let me be poor and beg for bread all the days of my life. If I have been dishonest in business or have cheated anyone, then let me be ruined and lose all I have. If I have put my trust in the wrong thing or have relied on something that cannot save, then let me be destroyed and perish in my iniquity. If I have not taught others to fear God or have not helped them understand his ways, then let me be as one who is not known to him. If I have been silent when I should have spoken or have spoken when I should have been silent, then let me be punished according to my deeds. If I have not been faithful to my vows or have broken my covenant with God, then let me bear the penalty and suffer the consequences. If I have not loved mercy or have not delighted in justice, then let me be treated as I have treated others. If I have not been kind to the stranger or have not shown hospitality to the traveler, then let me be a stranger in my own land. If I have not been generous to the poor or have not helped the needy, then let me be poor and suffer as they suffer. If I have not been honest in my dealings or have not been fair to all, then let me be treated as I have treated others. If I have not been humble before God or have not acknowledged his greatness, then let me be humbled and brought low. If I have not been grateful for his blessings or have not given thanks for his goodness, then let me be forgotten and not remembered. If I have not trusted in his mercy or have not believed in his salvation, then let me be lost and perish without hope. If I have not loved him with all my heart or have not served him with all my soul, then let me be cast away from his presence. If I have not obeyed his commands or have not followed his ways, then let me be punished according to my disobedience. If I have not feared him or have not respected his majesty, then let me be destroyed by his anger. If I have not loved my neighbor as myself or have not treated others as I wish to be treated, then let me be treated as I have treated others. If I have not been faithful to my spouse or have not been pure in my thoughts, then let me be punished as I have been unfaithful. If I have not been responsible with what I have been given or have not been a good steward, then let me be stripped of all I have. If I have not been content with what I have or have not been satisfied with my portion, then let me be poor and beg for bread. If I have not been diligent in my work or have not been faithful in my calling, then let me be fired from my job. If I have not been honest in my speech or have not been truthful in my words, then let me be known as a liar. If I have not been kind to my enemies or have not forgiven those who have wronged me, then let me be treated as I have treated them. If I have not been generous with my time or have not been willing to help others, then let me be alone in my time of need. If I have not been patient with others or have not been slow to anger, then let me be treated with impatience and anger. If I have not been faithful in my relationships or have not been loyal to my friends, then let me be betrayed by those I trust. If I have not been compassionate to the suffering or have not comforted those who mourn, then let me be comforted by no one in my time of need. If I have been arrogant or have looked down on others, then let me be humbled and brought low. If I have not been grateful for the simple things or have not appreciated the beauty of creation, then let me be blind to the wonders around me. If I have not been faithful to God in my heart or have not trusted in His promises, then let me be lost without hope. If I have not been a good example to others or have not lived a life of integrity, then let me be ashamed before men and God. If I have not been generous with my resources or have not shared with those in need, then let me be in need and have no one to help me. If I have not been faithful in my marriage or have not been loving to my spouse, then let me be alone and unloved. If I have not been a good parent or have not cared for my children, then let me be alone in my old age. If I have not been a good citizen or have not obeyed the laws of the land, then let me be punished for my disobedience. If I have not been a good steward of the earth or have not cared for the environment, then let me suffer the consequences of my neglect. If I have not been a good friend or have not been loyal to those I care about, then let me be betrayed by those I trust. If I have not been a good leader or have not led with integrity, then let me be removed from my position of leadership. If I have not been a good follower or have not respected those in authority, then let me be treated with disrespect. If I have not been a good employer or have not treated my employees fairly,